burning rubber, tires screaming, engines go berserk. Pit stop precision like surgeons at work. Wheel to wheel, hands on the grip, no chill. Broadcast live, PeaceMaker keeping it real. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. 360 on the asphalt, danger a flirt. Every lap closer, the tires eating dirt. PeaceMaker's lens, the hype ignites. Streaming the chaos under neon lights. Draft game strong, slingshot out the lane. Calculated risk deep in the veins. Checker flags wave, dreams on the brink. Fast decisions where you barely get to blink. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. On the asphalt, danger a flirt. Every lap closer, the tires eating dirt. PeaceMaker's lens, the hype ignites. Streaming the chaos under neon lights. Draft game strong, slingshot out the lane. Calculated risk deep in the veins. Checker flags wave, dreams on the brink. Fast decisions where you barely get to blink. Yeah. From amateurs to legends, it's all the same heat. One wrong move might sweep defeat. High octane stakes climb mile by mile. PeaceMaker's mic hot, adding flames to the style. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. Greasy, the grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in as we get ready to rumble here this evening from the beautiful Watkins Glen Speedway. The Watkins Glen Speedway here today. It's going to be a hell of a show here for the Wheel to Wheel Racing League, as each and every single driver going to be looking to try to put themselves up and into victory lane here this evening. As Sam Hardy says, let's go Dustin. As Hardy Design says, yes sir, let's get it. As Bill Fisher says, have a good race, Jordan Fisher. Here this evening, as Hardy Design says, we just gonna try to keep it between the navigational beacons to baby. Yes sir, that's the good goal right there. Keep it in between those navigational beakers. You'll be all right, man. You'll be totally fine. You'll be totally fine, man. That's why they have them there. They got those white lines around the racetrack. You just got to keep sure they keep your car pointing in the right direction and still on the racetrack and not into trouble here this evening, as we got another good group of drivers. A lot of drivers out there on the racetrack, every one of them looking to try to put themselves up and into victory lane, and that's the name of the game. Try to find your way towards the front of the field, as points always going to be in the back of the minds for each and every one of these drivers. And for a lot of these cats, there's a lot here on the line. There's points, there's playoffs just around the corner here. This is our penultimate race before our playoffs get underway. So for each and every one of these drivers, they definitely want to make sure that they're putting themselves into a good position to make it to the end of these races, to put themselves into a spot where they can potentially try and advance into the next round of our playoffs. As we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, and ready to rumble here in just a few more moments, as qualifying right now underway. So each and every one of these drivers trying to lay down some quick times here right now. It's Jordan Fisher with the quick time here in qualifying. Matthew Wood about 2/10 behind him there in second. Then we see Carlson, Saunders, Lucas, our top five. Applegate, who's still rolling out there on the racetrack in that Red Bull machine, currently sits in that 6th position. As each and every one of these drivers going to be looking to try to put themselves into the winning position here this evening. Let's see if we can get a good look at where these guys are going to be, what they need to do, and how they need to try to put themselves into the winner's circle here today. Let's see if we can get a little bit of an updated look here at our point standings. See if we can give you guys a good look at these before the race gets underway here, as obviously a lot of drivers, a lot of cats trying to figure out how they need to navigate their way into the points here this season. And as of right now, you see the drivers that are in the green, they are locked, they are in, they are going to be a part of our playoffs here this year. But for the drivers in yellow, they are right on the they're on the edge right now. Evan Stewart, he's got a good gap between himself and Jaden Porter, but as you go down that list, see Keegan Huey, you see Wyatt Mickelson, they are right there. They are so tight to potentially not making it into these playoffs. They need to have a good run each and every single day, as Jaden Porter only 6 points back of a transfer spot. Caden Gargiulo, Ethan Greek, and Nicholas Jensen, Joe David, they're all tight right there. Everyone else outside of that grouping, unfortunately, are eliminated from the playoffs. So this is going to be very, very fun to see who's going to be able to find their way towards the front, find their way into a playoff spot here, with only this race and one more race left to go before our playoffs get underway. So it's down to the nitty-gritty for a lot of these drivers, as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to go, as the Hardy Designs HB Racing number 19 rider Jordan Fisher will start in that pole position. To his outside, it's the Great Clips number 16 of Matthew Wood. Starting in position number 3 in the 91 ride is the United States Postal Service 91 ride of Liam Carlson. Starting in position number 4 in the number 98, that is Blair Saunders. Saunders will start back in position number 4 here this evening. Starting in the 5th spot will be Aiden Lucas. Starting in 6 in the Red Bull 57 is Grant Applegate in the AG Designs Auto Clinic number 37 machine. That is the right of Evan Stewart there in 7th. To his outside will be the Napa Auto Parts, the Napa Gold Filters 9 ride. That is Mr. Benjamin Romano. Then we see Wyatt Mickelson in the 23, Orion Haller, Zach Perry, and Mike Coravu there in the 22 Q.org ride right there as well. Then we see Jason Bogart back there, the Flex Seal number 17 ride. We see Ethan Greek in his number 3 machine in the AutismSpeaks.org number 3. We see Zach Perry back there, the Busch Latte 1776 Motorsports ride there in 13th. Dustin Hardy right there behind him in the HB Racing number 45 ride here this evening. Jaden Browder, hopefully I'm saying that right, Browder in the 81 ride here this evening, joining us here for this race. Jaden Porter back there in his Sim Racing Center number 74 ride. And then we see James Jones in his HB Racing Hardy's Designs number 54. Marquin Brewer in the 14 machine there in 18th. And we see Caleb Holloman in the 97 there in 19th. And we got a lot of drivers that unfortunately missed the start of this race. We'll have to start from pit road here this evening, including the wheel-to-wheel Racing AG Designs number 34 of Aiden Lucas, Nick Jensen in his Monster Energy number 42 ride starting down pit road. Zach Lader in his Monster Energy number 39, also down pit side. Keegan Huey in the 38, also down pit road in the 12 of Brandon Eddington, hopefully I'm saying that right, Brandon, as Brandon Eddington starting at the back of the pack there, unfortunately still down pit road here, as they'll get released. They'll be able to jump out onto the racetrack virtually as our race leaders take that green flag. Now starting a little closer to the front of the pit road. Going to help you out a whole lot more, unfortunately being way down pit lane. By the time you end up all the way back onto the racetrack, you're going to be quite a bit of ways behind the lead pack here this evening. But for each and every one of these drivers, you know that that's probably not going to play a major factor, as we do have stage breaks on lap 10 and lap number 20. So that means, you know, you're going to have some chances here to get caught back up. You can just try to keep yourself on the lead lap for those first 10 laps, and you should be A-okay and not having a problem out there, as we will have 3 sets of tires behind pit wall. There's no cautions for stage number 1, so there's no caution for stage 1. Actually, that's a big break for those drivers that are going to start back there. So no caution for stage 1. That means that only a caution flag at virtually our halfway point. As here we go, ending all the anticipation with our feature presentation, as we are quickly green flag racing. Green flag is in the air. Jordan Fisher with with a great launch. Clears everybody down into corner number 1, and there's contact. Look out, Applegate goes around. Grant Applegate going for a loop-de-loop down in corner number 1. Let's take a look back at it. There's some pretty solid contact there for Applegate. That is definitely not a spot that he wanted to be. Let's see if we can throw this into reverse and take a look and see the contact here for this number 57 ride as he started inside our top 6, top 7 here this evening. Got a great launch and a great drive, and it looks like the 9 ride of Romano from behind here going to get in a little too deep. Gets into that back bumper of the 57, and it just gets him a little squirrely right here. See the rear end sliding around on him. He tries to correct it and overcorrects and snap hooks up and around here, and that's all she really wrote there for the 57 ride. Hard contact into that inside fence. He'll keep it rolling though. He's quite a ways back though. Now even already getting passed by some of those drivers that were down pit road as out in front leading this race. It's the 19 of Jordan Fisher. Fisher will lead lap number 1 here this evening. So Fisher out in front already has about a 2-second gap between himself and Matthew Wood. So Fisher's opening lap, man, was an absolute masterpiece out there on the racetrack as he's opened up a pretty sizable lead between himself and Matthew Wood. So he's got to be feeling pretty good out there on the racetrack as Evan Stewart up and into 3rd here. Saunders there in 4th. Benjamin Romano there in 5th. Then we see Wyatt Mickelson, Ryan Haller in 6th and 7th. Zach Perry there in 8th. Dustin Hardy, Jason Bogart rounding out our top 10 as we have seen a few drivers run into issues here as let's take a look at see some of these issues out there on the racetrack. Looks like Liam Carlson gonna run into some problems here. Let's take a look at Liam and how this got played out for him. So the 91 sends it into corner number 6, gets loose and just goes around right there, and that was after actually working his way into position number 2. So a big mistake there for Liam Carlson. Then we see a few other drivers having some more issues here. A couple drivers up and off the racetrack here. Let's take a look and see if it's just sometimes iRacing just scores them, but there you go. You see the 54 Ryan. He's going to go around as well, so that's a tough break right there for James Jones going for a bit of a slide. He's going to wait for traffic to kind of go by and get this car pointed back in the right direction. Not the spot he wants to be out there on the speedway as Bogart trying to work his way a little farther forward here. Aiden Lucas, the 34 Ride, who started down pit road. Man, Aiden is showing some really good pace out of this number 34 ride, and he's already up inside our top 10. He's absolutely flying through the field right now, just navigating his way towards the front, and he has been looking very strong. After starting on pit road, able to quickly work his way up inside the top 10 is miraculous, to say the least, here this evening. He's got Carlson back there behind him as Ethan Greek, Caleb Holloman there in 13th, Corvu, Wyatt Mickelson now back into the 15th position. Looked like Wyatt ran into some issues as well. And now we see the 3 ride of Greek run into problems. So Ethan Greek ends up going through the inner loop here. And unfortunately, as he goes through the inner loop, he's going to end up looping it around right there. Loses that rear end, slides her around, ends up nosed into those tire barriers right there. Luckily enough, not too much damage for him. And that gets him sent backwards here. Unfortunate break for him. Let's take a look at Jaden Porter with damage on the front end of this car already. I'm not sure where he may have gotten that contact, but nonetheless, here he comes sliding in to our inner loop right here. This is going to be a problem area for a lot of drivers all night long. Comes in a little too hot, has to cut the corner, goes through the grass, does a little landscaping here at Watkins Glen, and gets that car back onto the racetrack, gets rolling again here, as we did see Wyatt Mickelson also run into problems. Mickelson had raced his way almost inside the top 5 here. And down through corner number 6. Oh, baby! Gets loose, tries to save it. It hooks around and puts him into the bunker over here in corner number 6. Luckily enough, those rocks don't hold them, don't keep them kind of dug in there. But you do see a lot of those rocks getting drunk up onto the racetrack right there. Could make things even more slippery and sticky down and out of corner number 6 as he rejoins the field. Unfortunately, quite a ways back there behind is out in front. It is this number 19 of Jordan Fisher. Fisher Fisher still has the race lead, and now he's caught up to this 57 ride. That is Grant Applegate right in front of him. Applegate came down pit road and got his car repaired here after that opening lap contact and getting into the inside or outside fence in corner number 1. And for the 57, he is on the brink of potentially going a lap down here this evening. Could be the first car one lap down, as we did see Jaden Porter also make a pit stop here. Looks like he's gotten his car fixed up and back together. Now we do see Marquin Brewer trying to come down pit road. Now I don't know if Brewer was trying to head down pit side here, or if he just loses it coming out of corner number 7 here. Down low, looked like he was just trying to keep his foot in the throttle, and it just slides his car right down pit lane. That's a tough place to be in now. He will have to go down pit road, so that is a heartbreaker there for Marquin Brewer, and that'll slide him even deeper into the field and potentially may even go a lap down as Jordan Fisher down through corner number 6. Nice and easy. Avoids all the mess there and able to work his way nice and easy down through corner number 7 and back down the Watkins Glen front straightaway here, and I do believe that is going to put Marquin Brewer a lap down, as Applegate also a lap down there in the 57. But you start to see Matthew Wood, he's closing the gap here. I'm not sure if Fisher just got tied up trying to figure out a way to get around that 57 ride. Nonetheless, Matthew Woods closed the gap here a little bit. We'll see if Jordan Fisher can start to pull away once again as my boy Rodney Stewart. What in the world? Rodney coming in, setting it off over there on YouTube. Rodney coming in, showing the big love here this evening. Says, what's up, Peacemaker? Go Evan. Cheering on Evan Stewart here this evening and coming in with the $2 U.S. Super Chat here this evening. Much love there to my boy Rodney Stewart coming in with the Super Chat here this evening, showing the big love here today, man. That's absolutely insane. I appreciate you and your generosity coming in with the $2 Super Chat here this evening. As we do see Matthew Wood still trying to stalk down this number 19 of Jordan Fisher. Fisher just kind of keeping that same gap between himself and Matthew Wood. Evan Stewart a little farther back there in that 37 ride as he made some early moves, able to avoid some early issues for some of these other drivers, and for the AG's Designs ride, he's getting paid in dividends here this evening as he's already worked his way up and into third here. He's up 4 spots on the racetrack, and he's got to be feeling pretty good about where he's rolling right now on the racetrack. He is about 5-6 seconds back of our race leaders, but he's got a couple seconds between himself and this number 98 rider, Blair Saunders. A little farther back, you do see Benjamin Romano there in 5th, and now Aiden Lucas up and into 6th. Lucas continues to shine back here through some traffic. This car is absolutely blazing fast here, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have to wait and see if he can close the gap and maybe try to hunt down our race leaders. It's going to be tough for him to do that through some traffic, but now he's got a pretty sizable gap between himself and Benjamin Romano, so he's got a big gap, a lot of open racetrack. We should see some pretty fast lap times here for this 34 ride, and we'll see if he can maybe reel in our race leaders ever so slightly, or if he takes things a little bit more safe and cautious here, just trying to keep himself out of trouble until we get that second stage completed. In a caution flag here today as Haller does slide back into 7th. Bogart back there behind him in 8th. Zach Perry there in 9th, and Dustin Hardy rounding out our top 10 in that beautiful 45 ride. Liam Carlson there in 11th with Nick Jensen back in position number 12. Jensen into the grass right there as here comes the 51 rider, Wyatt Mickelson. Mickelson right there in the 13th spot. This is the area that we saw Mickelson run into problems here, but he's trying to rebound from that and trying to race his way back up towards the top 10. He's trying to figure out a way to get around this 42 rider right here. Maybe his opportunity is down the front straightaway, back down into corner number 1, so they kind of go down the hill right here. Hard braking zone. He gets onto the binders, gets that inside lane, sends it in there, and takes position number 12 away from Nick Jensen. So Jensen slides back to 13th there on the speedway, as we did see Zach Clater right there behind these guys. There's Clater in that 39 right. Mike Corvu there in 15th as Caleb Holloman back in 16th. Jaden Browder back there in 17th. James Jones in the 54 strolls there in the 18th position with Brandon Eddington there in position number 19 on the speedway. Now Grant Applegate is a lap down here, but Eddington not too far away from potentially going a lap down here himself in that number 12 ride. We'll have to keep a close look at this as he may go a lap down, and that may take Applegate out of that free pass position as our race leaders not too far back there behind him. You can see them in the same frame right there. That's our first and second place driver slowly but surely stalking down this 12 ride, and we are still a ways away from potentially seeing a caution flag. As let's take a look back and see some more issues for some of these drivers, as a lot of drivers running into problems, a lot of drivers having issues out there. One of them being Jaden Porter, who's now scored back in 23rd as Porter sends it deep down into corner number 1. This is after he had already made a pit stop, got that car repaired, just got in there too deep, could not get it checked up. Heavy front end damage. You hear that car absolutely get destroyed right there as the Beyond Detailing number 74 ride unfortunately parked there on the outside tires. Heavy damage. Looks like he's going to take that car down pit side, and he's going to be down there for an extended period of time. And Keegan Huey not too long afterwards, we already see damage on this 38 ride. Looks like he's going to run into more problems. Going to hops the curb right there into the grass, just trying to keep this thing out of trouble, trying to keep it rolling, and unfortunately locks it up. The car not wanting to turn very much. Gets up the racetrack right there, and I think that's where he realized he needs to get this thing repaired. He needs to get down pit road and try to get this thing fixed up as quickly as possible, as he did come down pit lane there on lap number 6. He is now about a lap or 2 laps down here on the speedway. Definitely not the spot he wanted to be, but he has rolled back out onto the racetrack. So at least that is somewhat of a good break there for Huey, that he is back out there on the speedway. Unfortunately, though, being a couple laps down, he is no longer in the free pass position, and definitely not in the spot you want to be out there on the speedway, that is for certain. As they take another look at another driver running into issues, it's Marquin Brewer here, the Exalta Coating Systems number 14 ride. Going to run into problems here as they head down into the S's here. Not the S's, just out of the S's into the inner loop, and just slides it in there a little too fast, a little too hard. Car just loops around in heavy contact as he backs it into the wall right there. My gosh, that was a big hit for Marquin Brewer. And unfortunately, that has taken Marquin down pit side here for an extended period of time. Let's take another look at it, another angle at what happens here as he just sends it in deep here into the inner loop. And man, this is just a big, big hit. Gets in there a little too fast, locks up these brakes, and the car just slides around, kicks out on him. Can't get it checked up quick enough, and backs it into that wall. Heavy damage. Has been down pit road for quite a little while, but is back out onto the racetrack there for Marquin Brewer. Actually, no, looks like Marquin's taking that car right out of this race. So Marquin looking like a 24th place finish here today, potentially for that number 14 ride, as he's taking the car back down behind pit walls. We'll take another look here. Ethan Creek going to run into some more issues here for the 3 ride. We saw him already go for a slide, get a little piece of that wall a couple times in for the autismspeaks.org machine, just trying to keep this thing pointing in the right direction, out of trouble, and does virtually the exact same thing again. That is a problem area here for that 3 ride. That time, though, he wasn't able to save it and keep that car out of trouble. Heavy contact down pit road here for quite a little while. Now we see Brandon Ellington running into issues as well. Let's take another look here at Ellington as the red number 12 ride here gonna run into some issues himself, is down through corner number 6. Gets up onto the banking right there, a little bit of loose gravel, unfortunately, just spins those rear tires, loops that car around. That was right in front of our race leaders there. Luckily enough, they're able to avoid that 12 machine, and everyone's able to keep on battling, keep on rolling, and it's going to make things that much more difficult, that much more crazy out there on the speedway. And for all these drivers, just trying to keep yourself alive, trying to keep yourself out of trouble is going to be the name of the game. But you take a look at the front here. Stage 1 is going to go to the 19 ride of Jordan Fisher. So Fisher wins the first stage of the day. But right now, you see the 16 of Matthew Wood. Looks like Wood maybe a little bit better long run speed here for this number 16 machine. And he is all over the back bumper of Jordan Fisher, trying to figure out a way to get around him here, trying to figure out a way to take this race lead away from that 19 ride. Takes a deep look down low underneath the 19 ride, could not get the run out of the corner, and unfortunately will stay back there in position number 2 as they complete lap number 12. Evan Stewart still there holding on to position number 3 here this evening. Blair Saunders there in position number 4, ends that 9 ride of Benjamin Romano right there behind him. bit of a gap all the way back to the 34 line. That is Aiden Lucas there in 6th, and we see Jason Bogart back in 7th. Haller there in position number 8 with Zach Perry, and Liam Carlson rounding out our top 10 here on the racetrack. Nick Jensen there in 11th. Clater, Mike Coravu, Dustin Hardy, and Wyatt Mickelson our top 15 here on the Speedway. You do see a little left front damage there for Wyatt Mickelson, as it looked like Mickelson ended up running into some issues here himself, as he was battling up there. He was trying to battle with that 45 ride and a couple of these other drivers, and unfortunately gets into corner number 1 and gets into the 45 right there. Spins the 45 right around, has to get checked up himself, and unfortunately that put not only him but also Dustin Hardy kind of around right there. Both drivers going for a bit of a loop-de-loop, and both of these cats losing a couple spots out there on the racetrack. As this happened, man, they lost probably 3 or 4 positions out there on the racetrack. This was almost inside our top 10 for the 51 and the 45 ride. As take a look at the 51, gets a big run, unfortunately just misses his breaking point here, gets in there a little too deep, trying to close the gap there on the Hardy's Designs 45, and as he gets in there a little too far, ends up getting underneath of him. Absolutely, when you get into the grass, you get no braking help, and slides right on up into that 45 ride. And as both drivers have an issue, here you go. You see the 91 ride of Liam Carlson, who's now in the 10th position. There goes the 42, the 39 ride. So right there, they lose at least 3 spots on the racetrack right there in that moment, and then both drivers are trying to get their cars pointed back in the right direction, trying to get rolling again. They're going to lose a 4th spot, as there goes that 46 of Mike Coravu. So tough break right there for both the 51 and the 45. I'm sure Dustin not going to be very happy or thrilled about that contact and how that one happened. I'm sure Wyatt probably not feeling the best about that. Obviously never want to see that happen or have issues like that out there on the racetrack. And right there, you see him just move over, allow that 45 ride to go by. He knows that, that was his mistake. That was his fault. He's going to give him that position, and kept on rolling out there on the Speedway as we keep on battling. We keep on duking it out here this evening as our race leaders door to door. Here comes Matthew Wood looking for the race lead. Here on lap number 14 at Watkins Glen Speedway, we will see our first pass for the race lead here this evening as Matthew Wood will jump out in front. Wood with the race lead now as Fisher slides back into position number 2. First time for this 19 ride to be back there in that 2nd spot so far here this evening. He was that reflection of perfection, but now with the great clip Chevrolet of Matthew Wood jumping out in front of him, he's going to lose that claim. No longer the reflection of perfection out there on the racetrack, but we'll see if he can battle back and see if he can try to slide back up and into the top spot before stage number 2 comes to a close here in about 5 more laps. As my buddy Colorado Avalanche fan says, I left a coffee by your door, good sir. What in the world? Colorado Avalanche fan coming in with a coffee donation here this evening. That's what's up right there. A coffee dono. Shout out there to the Avalanche, the Colorado Avalanche fan here this evening with the donation. Not of a super chat here in the stream or anything, or stars over on Facebook or anything like that, but he does come in with the coffee donation, which is just as good for any of my friends or family that tune in and watch that are around, man. We always take in real life donations as well. As man, that is absolutely insane. We appreciate that, Colorado Avalanche fan. We will be out to grab that in just a little bit. We're going to wait until stage number 2 comes to a close here in about 4.5 more laps. So probably about 4 minutes or so. We'll be out there. We'll be grabbing that coffee, and trust me, that is going to feel so nice. A good hot coffee here this evening. Woo, baby! Sign me up for that. A good old Timmy Hose. I'm hoping it's probably going to be Timmy's, but could potentially be, something else. But I'm assuming it's probably going to be Timmy's or Mickey D's coffee, which either way I'm happy with. Coffee is coffee, as Matthew Wood has that race lead, and nice and easy down at corner number 7 here at Watkins Glen Speedway. He will head down and across the line, leading that lap as only 4 more laps left to go here in stage number 2. Fisher was able to win that first stage and looked really, really strong there in that opening 10 to 12 laps, but man, oh man, oh man, it has been Matthew Wood putting the pressure on him, and definitely taking this race to himself here now. I don't know if it was just tire strategy, taking it easy there through the first 10, 12 laps of this race, and then really coming on strong here later in this, second stage. I'm not sure what the game plan was, but nonetheless, looking like he's got the better long-run car, which could be absolutely detrimental to that 19 ride of Jordan Fisher. When we see our final stage get underway, there's going to be no more caution flags out there on the racetrack, even as we see one driver turned sideways right there in front of him. That was Aiden Lucas. Lucas going around. My gosh, that was a close call there for our race leaders as they came storming down and out of corner number. That's the outer loop right there. And man, oh man, oh man, they almost tagged him there. That could have been bad for both our race leaders. Let's take a look back at the 34 ride. Nice and easy out of that outer loop, and fortunately gets a little bit loose trying to save it. Car just ends up going around on him right here. And as he goes around, this is actually quite a bit earlier. I think this is the lap beforehand here for Aiden Lucas. He gets it backed up, he gets it rolling, and gets it going here once again, and then has the same issue, I'm assuming, out of that outer loop, corner number 5, about 3 laps later. So a couple issues here out of this outer loop for the wheel-to-wheel number 34 ride as the AG's Designs ride. Yeah, right there. You see him again, loose out of that corner. Snap hooks it around, trying to save it. Hard contact into that outside fence. And, man, that is a lot of damage for the 34. Now he's trying to get it backed up, trying to get it back pointed in the right direction. And as he starts to get it backed up, there's our race leader, Matthew Wood, the 16 and the 19, just going by him right there. Let's see if we can get a look here for a couple of these cats, man. Let's take a look on board with Matthew Wood and see what he can see. So this is the outer loop right here that these drivers are going through. You can't really see anything, can't see anything, and then all of a sudden as you come out of this outer loop, there's a car parked sideways. You're expecting him to stay up against that wall, and he backs down the racetrack almost right in front of you. Luckily enough, able to dodge him and keep himself pointed in the right direction. Man, that was a close call for a bunch of drivers. Unfortunately now for Aiden Lucas, who's having such a great run and driving his way through the field, ended up almost inside the top 5 there after having to start down on pit road for the 34 ride. He is now down a lap here, and it looks like he is going to be not in the free pass position. I do believe free pass is still there for the 57 ride of Grant Applegate, as Saunders not too far away. Same with the 46 ride of Mike Coravu. Wyatt Mickelson also not too far away here. Big gang of race cars all right here. About 5 lead lap cars all just in front of our race leader, Matthew Wood, is there. They come out of that outer loop and try to hunt these guys down, so they're not too far away from potentially passing and lapping a few more of these drivers, and that is probably going to be the name of the game. I know that they're going to want to try to put these guys a lap down, but down out at corner number 7 and back down across the line here for our race leader, Matthew Wood. This is going to be the final lap of stage number 2 as 19 laps now completed, our 20th lap underway, and for Matthew Wood, he sees these guys. He knows that if he can try to keep a couple more of them a lap down out there on the racetrack, it could potentially trap this 57 of Grant Applegate a lap down, and Grant's been hanging with him. He's been showing that he's got some pretty good speed out of this 57 ride, and if you can get the advantage and put him a lap down and keep him a lap down, then you're going to want to take advantage of it. As Colorado Avalanche fan says, "Hear, hear, good sir." For sure, Tim's. Oh, baby, we love it. We love it. The good old Timmy Hose, the good old Tim Hortons coffee. That's exactly what we want. As here we go, Matthew Wood, he's really starting to catch up to this lap traffic right here. That's Mike Corvu right in front of him. Some issues for the 91 of Liam Carlson. They're both trying to keep that number 16 back there at bay, but now damage on that United States Postal Service 91 ride, and with the 46 of Corvu right there as well. Both these drivers are going to try to push hard here to try to keep themselves on the lead lap, but we'll see how much Matthew Wood pushes right here as the 91 shoots it a little high there, door to door now for that last car on the lead lap as they head down and through corner number 7. It looks like Matthew may be just going to be nice to them here. Doesn't poke his nose into that fight, and that will complete our second stage. So Matthew Wood picking up the stage win right there. Matthew Wood with the stage win. Jordan Fisher there in second. Evan Stewart, Benjamin Romano coming home in position number 4 here, as long as he can get down and across the line nice and easy there. Stewart completing his 20th lap. There's Romano completing his 20th. We see Zach Perry's. This is the gap here between our top 5 and our top 4 to our 5th place driver, Zach Perry. He's about 55 seconds behind our race leaders. He's about 32 seconds, 33 seconds behind our 4th place driver, Benjamin Romano. You see Jason Bogart, Nick Jensen, Clader, Haller, all right there, as Haller trying to keep himself inside the top 10 here, trying to want some stage points. Blair Saunders there as well, back in the 10th position. Saunders did come down pit road on lap number 14, so maybe a bit of a strategy call there for a couple of these drivers. Whether or not they're going to take waiver rounds or just pitting early here, we'll have to wait and see how that strategy works out for them. But nonetheless, it's Matthew Wood who picks up the stage win here this evening. So Matthew Wood with the stage win here in stage number 2. Stage number 1 going to Jordan Fisher. Both drivers, and probably all these drivers, going to elect to come down pit side. Going to need some fuel. Probably going to try to throw on some tires. They're going to be down there for 10, 12 seconds anyways to get topped up with fuel. You might better throw a set of tires on and try to use those to your advantage later in this run, as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to roll here in just a couple more moments. As we'll be right back here in just a couple seconds, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Don't go anywhere, as you don't want to miss out on the racing action here for our final stage of the day.
Yeah. Burning rubber, tires screaming, engines go berserk. Pit stop precision like surgeons at work. Wheel to wheel, hands on the grip, no chill. Broadcast live, PeaceMaker keeping it real. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. 360 on the asphalt, danger a flirt. Every lap closer, the tires eating dirt. PeaceMaker's lens, the hype ignites. Streaming the chaos under neon lights. Draft game strong, slingshot out the lane. Calculated risk deep in the veins. Checkered flags wave dreams on the brink. Fast decisions where you barely get to blink. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. On the asphalt, danger a flirt. Every lap closer, the tires eating dirt. PeaceMaker's lens, the hype ignites. Streaming the chaos under neon lights. Draft game strong, slingshot out the lane. Calculated risk deep in the veins. Checker flags wave dreams on the brink. Fast decisions where you barely get to blink. Yeah. From amateurs to legends, it's all the same heat. One wrong move might sweep defeat. High octane stakes climb mile by mile. PeaceMaker's mic hot, adding flames to the style. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. Greasy, the grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are getting ready to rumble here as drivers down pit road, completing their pit stops, and that's the battle right there to watch. Jordan Fisher beating Matthew Wood off of pit lane. That's going to give Jordan the advantage here when we go back to green flag racing. He will be our race leader. Matthew Wood back in second. Going to have to try to keep him back there at bay for as long as he can. For Fisher, he's going to have to try to figure out a different game plan, a different strategy here to try to keep that 16 ride at bay later in this run, as Evan Stewart there in third, Perry back in fourth, Jensen in fifth, and then we'll get ready to see how this all plays out. We did see Grant Applegate actually run into issues here as well. Did Applegate wreck himself getting his lap back here? He got the wave around, got the lucky dog, and not sure what happens here. Sends it into corner number 7. Locks him up. 9 ride stopped right there, potentially out of fuel for Benjamin Romano. Heartbreaker there for him. We see Applegate getting checked up, and looks like Applegate going to do the... Oh, man, what a nice guy. What a nice fellow right there for Applegate. Sees the 9 ride out of fuel, pushes him down to his pit stall, man. This is it. This is what we love to see. This is sportsmanship. This is camaraderie right here. This is exactly what we want to see out of drivers and helping each other out there on the speedway. Applegate could have, for certain, just left him right there. He probably would have never went to his pit stall, would have had to tow back down to pit lane, and would have probably went at least a lap or potentially multiple laps down. But gives him enough right there, shoves him down to his pit stall, and puts him into his pit lane there so he can get some service, get some fuel into that 9 ride, and get ready to roll here once again. So that's a very, very nice move out of that fine gentleman, Mr. Applegate, as we'll get ready to go back to green flag racing, as a safety car does have the lights turned off. So the next time around, we will go back to green flag racing here this evening, as each and every one of these competitors going to get ready to duke it out here in this one. As, man, ladies and gentlemen, I just want you guys to know, we got our coffee there during our little intermission break there during this stage end, and my gosh, this coffee, perfect, absolutely perfect. Oh gosh darn, that is good. Good hot coffee, man. We love that. As here we go, getting ready to go back to battle. Jordan Fisher, the control car, he is our race leader out in front here, so he gets to fire first. This is exactly how we saw things get started here this evening. Fisher out in front, Matthew Wood in second. It seemed like it was going to be Jordan Fisher's race to lose here. And then late in that second stage, honestly, after probably about 15 laps of green flag racing, we saw Matthew Wood be able to catch him, make the move around him, take that race lead away from that 19 ride, and then keep him back there at bay to win stage number 2. And if we go through that same scenario again, potentially giving the advantage to the 16 of Matthew Wood here later in this race, but potentially green flag pit stops could be on the horizon. We saw the 9 ride run out of fuel there a lap or so ago, so potentially fuel could be an issue here for a lot of these drivers. There's a lot right now that are trying to save as much fuel, trying to make sure that they don't burn up a lot out there on the racetrack, and it will keep on battling here today. So we'll have to wait and see if that becomes an issue, if we see a few drivers having to make green flag pit stops and coming down pit road before the end of this race, as we ran a 20-lap caution-free race there to start this evening for our first 2 stages. For this final stage, it's looking to be about 21 laps of green flag racing, so it's going to get tight. It's going to get tight. They're going to have to probably save a little bit, and that may have been what really helped Matthew Wood out there later in that run, maybe saving enough fuel early in the run that he was able to claw his way back in around that 19 ride. Maybe now for Fisher, he knows that he's going to have to save a little bit earlier potentially, so getting a lead, having all these guys back there at bay, and just waiting later into the race to start making those moves to try to keep himself from running out of fuel. It's going to get very, very tight for a lot of these drivers, and it's going to get tight down through corner number 1. As here we go back to green flag racing. There's a couple drivers down and up off the racetrack right there. I do believe we're going to see Mike Corfu be able to get through that. It was a couple of our lap down drivers there, I do believe, running into issues, as we did see Liam Carlson and Benjamin Romano both get back onto the track, but these guys both ran into problems right here. These two were racing before the race even got back under green. I don't understand what was going on here, but nonetheless, this is before we went back to green. Both these drivers were just down pit road. They're trying to catch back up to the lead pack. You see the 91 get really loose there out of the outer carousel right there. The 9 ride shows up. He tries to go around this 91. Then all of a sudden they end up into corner number 6 together. Side by side they make contact. Both drivers slide around. They both go around. And as they do go around, our race leaders are taking the green flag. And here they are back here in corner number 6, just getting rolling again. And that's where we saw those issues for them. And then we see a few drivers down into corner number 1 right there. You see the 54. That is James Jones going a little wide there into the corner. We did see, I do believe that is Jaden Browder also going up and off the track there. Luckily enough, no damage for either of those drivers. But out in front, it is Jordan Fisher who has that race lead. Wood sticking right there with him. Evan Stewart hanging on to third right now as he's looking to try to put himself up and onto the podium as Clater there in fourth. Blair Saunders back there in fifth. Wyatt Mickelson there in sixth. Zach Perry back in seventh with Applegate, Jason Bogart, and Caleb Holloman rounding out our top 10 as of right now. Haller back there in 11th with Mike Corvu. Liam Nelson is, oh, look out, Liam Carlson, not Liam Nelson, as that's the 12 ride right there, going for a bit of a wild ride as he gets into the outside fence right there. Let's see if we can play this back and take a look at it. I'm not sure if he got a little help, a little contact there, or if that was just driving it in deep and losing that rear end. We saw Marquand Brewer do that earlier, and here we go. Yeah, just gets in there a little deep, kind of gets a little bit of a hop right there. Luckily enough, avoids any heavy damage to the front end of that 12 ride and able to keep on battling here this evening, as we did see Aiden Lucas end up off the racetrack here. We did see Keegan Huey also off the speedway here. Huey a little farther back here in this 38 ride. Down the inside of Grant Applegate, they send it into corner number 1. Looks like he's going to get onto the rumble strip right there, get a little loose, and Re-Own Machine goes around right there. Quick little loop-de-loop. Doesn't lose too much there, but able to keep on battling, so not too much damage for him, and that's at least a good thing. But you do see him get checked up right there. Obviously, that could have been iRacing cutting the course, having to serve a bit of a 5-second penalty there, but he keeps on battling, keeps on rolling, as we do see Aiden Lucas still down pit road here for that 34 ride. Tough break for Aiden Lucas. Jaden Porter also still down pit road. Marquand Brewer off of the racetrack and out of this race as that 12 ride who just went around right there. That is the car who, unfortunately, is stuck back in the 21st position on the speedway. So tough break there for him. Is out in front. Here's the battle at the front of the field. These two still nose to tail out there on the racetrack and almost door to door. Is Matthew Wood this time a little bit stronger on the throttle here early on? He's right there with them, trying to hang with that 19 ride at Jordan Fisher. Not sure if Fisher's just more on the throttle, trying to run away with it, trying to keep that number 16 ride back there at bay, or maybe both these drivers know that they're good on fuel, that they're good to go, and they can just kind of go balls to the wall out there on the speedways. We did see Zach Clater get up into third here. Great run there for Clater, now into third. Saunders there in fourth. Wyatt Mickelson up inside the top 5 with that 51 machine. Applegate, who we talked about having some speed, he was in that free pass position. Matthew Wood didn't pass a couple of those other lap down cars, or potentially put a couple cars a lap down just before the end of that second stage, where we would see our second, or our only caution flag here on the evening when that second stage came to a close. And that gave the free pass to that 57 of Applegate. And we saw some good sportsmanship out of the 57 to help push the 9 ride back down to his pit stall, and maybe getting some good breaks here as now we see the 45 right in front of him. That's Dustin Hardy. Hardy goes for a bit of a slide for the Hardy Designs 45 machine. Definitely not the spot you want to be as he's trying to get this thing looped back around, trying to get it pointed back in the right direction. I'm not sure if this is going to be the way to do it, as he's going to have to wait a little bit longer. He may have a chance right here. Pulls out in front of his teammate right there, but he does get that Hardy's Designs number 45 ride pointed back in the right direction, though. He's going to lose a ton of positions and fall back there, and that's not a spot you want to be out there on the speedways. We do see Haller. Hang on to it, Haller. Oh, baby. Oh, Haller just about killed that Coca-Cola Columbia ride, but he's able to get it hooked up and keep it rolling here as he's back in that 15th position. Started off really, really good in this race. Did earn some good stage points throughout the first 2 stages as well for the 23. Be nice to see him just be able to get this one finished off and put himself into a good position, as we do see Matthew Wood able to take the race lead back away here. So Matthew Wood back out in front, able to get around Jordan Fisher once again. Now for the Fish. Is this the place to be? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you guys are watching, what do you guys think? Do you think this is the place to be? Do you want to be the car that's in the chase, or do you want to be the car that's being hunted? Do you want to be the hunter or the hunted here this evening? That is the big question. That is the golden ticket problem for a lot of these drivers on where you want to be. Do you want to have control, or do you want to be the driver trying to just put the pressure on the back bumper of the car in front of you to try and steal the race lead or potentially the win away from that other car in front of you? Or do you think maybe at a racetrack like Watkins Glen, maybe being back in second here, not having that clean air, and potentially allowing the 16 of Matthew Wood to open up too big of a race lead where you may not be able to get back to him, you may not have enough to try to strike again and try to take that race lead back away from this 16 late in the run. But you do see that big gap all the way back between Matthew Wood, Jordan Fisher, all the way back to our third place driver, Zach Claters. There's Clater in that 39 right. Haller also going a lap down right there. So Haller now a lap down himself. He's the first car a lap down. So at least good news is if we for some reason see a full course caution flag, could get himself back onto the lead lap. But you just got to keep yourself out of trouble. And unfortunately for our boy Ronnie says it's all about the mistake. It's all about the mistake. And that's the thing that you got to keep in the back of your mind. You want to avoid making those mistakes. We saw Evan Stewart for the longest time up there battling inside our top three. We're going to see Stewart here make a mistake, and man, this is a tough one here for Evan as he was running so good, so consistent all day long, and that one mistake, just getting over those rumble strips a little too far, spins that car around, slides it here, luckily enough, does avoid making contact there with those tire barriers, able to keep that car at least clean and out of trouble, has to get the thing rolling here, has to get it going back into the right direction, and he fell back to about the 8th position or so right there, maybe even 9th, and now he does find himself back up into 7th, so he's able to at least regain a couple spots out there on the speedway. But for the 37 ride, still going to be looking for more here, going to be looking to try to catch up to Wyatt Mickelson and Applegate, who are quite a ways in front of him here. Blair Saunders there in 4th, putting pressure onto the back bumper of our 3rd place driver, Zach Clater. It's been of a rough go to start off this season here for Blair Saunders, but here tonight, having a pretty solid, consistent evening out of that Toyota as he rolls right there in position number 4 and looking for more as Matthew Wood continues to hold on the race lead here this evening as Anna Alessandro says, come on Matthew, you got this, says good job Matthew as he was able to take that race lead. Hardy Design says, well, I'm done, let's go Fisher. No, that's a heartbreaker for Hardy Designs. Oh man, that is a tough one, man. That's a tough one as we do see unfortunately Dustin Hardy, and I do believe James is still rolling out there, but for Dustin, looks like that is going to be night over for the 45 ride. That's good news for Brandon Eddington. Is Eddington going to be able to at least maybe gain another position out there on the racetrack here? He's got a few more laps before he's able to steal that 20th spot away from Dustin Hardy. Nonetheless, for both Brandon and Dustin, points are really not much of a concern for them. They are not going to be a part of the playoffs here this year. 2 late entries here to the season, so nothing to worry about, but trying to just have a good run, a solid day, and obviously having things go astray out there on the speedway, never that much fun. And for drivers that are kind of on that cut line, when you look back at drivers like Ryan Haller or some of these other guys, you know, points are going to be tight, man. Points are going to be tight. Things are going to get very, very interesting here as, you know, you take a look at our point standings. Keegan Huey, he was sitting in 11th for those points, and here this evening, where is Mr. Huey sitting? He's sitting back in about the 17th position. So he had 31 points above that cut line. Haller was just in front of him there, 65 points to the good. Jason Bogart, who's running good, is there. But you look back at the drivers that were below the cut line, or right at that cut line. Wyatt Mickelson and some issues early on, had some slides around the racetrack, and now for Wyatt, he's up into the 6th position, which is a great spot for him to be, as a couple of the drivers back behind him that he's trying to keep back at bay for this final playoff position in our point standings. Jaden Porter, unfortunately, down, and I do believe out of this race back in 23rd. That's going to allow a big gap between Wyatt and Jaden now. Caden Gargiulo not even out there on the racetrack. Ethan Greek scored back in 18th. So a couple of these drivers that were back behind Wyatt that were closing in on that definitely have some good runs. Another one, though, that was having a pretty good run here. Where is he? Nick Jensen. Nick Jensen, he's in 13th, but that's still, you know, that's still 6-7 positions back behind Wyatt Mickelson. So for that driver in 12th position here, hanging on a limb, trying to keep himself in that final playoff spot here. Tonight looks like it could be a big night for him, points-wise, and trying to make it to the end of this regular season with the points lead. So this is looking very good for him. And Joe David, who is in 17th, also not out there on the racetrack. So really probably only going to be one or two drivers that could potentially take that final playoff spot away from Wyatt Mickelson here next weekend. So right now he's got to be feeling pretty confident if he can just hang on and finish this race off with a solid 6th place run. Could really work out perfectly for him. Could put himself into a golden opportunity in a great position to advance and transfer into our playoffs here this year, as historic cinematics coming in. Says this announcer is pure talent, top shelf performance, sir. I appreciate that. Historic cinematics coming in, showing the love. Says first time viewing this stream and great commentary. I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that, coming in, showing the love here this evening. As Hardy Design says, all good. I ain't no road racer. Ain't no road racer, he says. Dustin, we feel you, brother. We feel you, man. We feel you. Trust me, if I was behind the wheel of one of these things, I would not be very good either. When it comes to road course racing, it was never my forte. Never my forte, man. If I could, I'd be taking shortcuts everywhere I could on the racetrack. I'd be looking for those shortcuts and trying to hit them. I don't know if I'd be wanting to take, a road course all the way around, man. I grew up playing Mario Kart and some of those other places, man. They got to put in some shortcuts here. They got to make there an advantage, a little bit more of a high risk but high reward if you take some of those shortcuts. I think that's what we need to get added into Watkins Glen, into Sonoma, into some of these road courses. We want to see some crazy action. Let's get a little bit of Mario Kart kind of vibes into these races. That's what I want to see. As Rodney, what's good, Rodney? Rodney says, how Applegate in 5th? That was move of the night. Yeah, Applegate, man, early on, opening lap, got hit from behind, got loose, went around, ended up into that outside fence right there. Ended up with some pretty solid front left damage on that car. Unfortunately, I had to take it down pit side after losing a ton of time. Ended up going a lap down here. And for the first 20 laps, our first 2 stages of this race, there were no caution flags. So any other driver that ran into issues, had problems, or anything else that went a lap down, all had an opportunity to potentially keep this 57 ride out of that free pass spot on the speedway. Applegate, though, kept himself in the race, kept on battling, got the lucky dog at the end of stage number 2 when we saw our one and only caution flag of the day, got back onto the lead lap, and now for the 57 ride, has navigated his way through the traffic and up into that 5th position, and he may not be done yet. Applegate's right there. He's got the 39 ride of Zach Clater just in front of him here, about 6/10 away, about 4 or 5 car lengths, if that, away from our 4th place driver, Zach Clater, and our 3rd place driver, Blair Saunders, is right there as well, not too far away. And that's what we talked about before the end of that stage. Matthew Wood and Jordan Fisher, they were right there. They were right on the back bumper of a couple other drivers that they could have put a lap down. If they could have gotten around one of those drivers, put them a lap down out there on the speedway, it would have forced the hand of Grant Applegate to try to make some crazy move, whether or not it was trying to stay out and getting away for a round and then coming back down pit side at a later time, or something that he would have to just try to bank on a late race caution flag that's going to be an actual full course yellow, which I don't think we're going to have any full course yellows here this evening except for that stage 2 break here this evening. So that was his one and only shot to get back onto the lead lap, and once he got it, man, he has taken full advantage of it and has worked that 57 right inside the top 5. And he may not be done, but he's going to need a lot of time and a lot of good luck to try to hunt down our top 2 competitors, as Matthew Wood out in front, continuing to lead this race. Matthew has the race lead. Jordan Fisher, our 2nd place driver, right there behind him, but the gap has grown to about 2.5 seconds now. So 2.5 seconds is the gap between 1st and 2nd on the speedway, but the gap all the way back to 3rd is over 15 seconds behind this 19 16 ride of Jordan Fisher. So there is Blair Saunders back in position number 3, currently 15 plus seconds behind second, over now about 18 seconds behind our race leader Matthew Wood, and that just shows you how strong these two cats at the front of the field are. It is really down to these two drivers. It's between Matthew Wood, it's between Jordan Fisher. We pretty much knew that going into this race that it was going to be these two. There were a few drivers we thought would surprise us, maybe put on some good racing and maybe give them a run for their money, especially throughout that stage break or anything else, and then just have that track position to keep them back there at bay. One of those being that 57 of Grant Applegate, who's now back in 5th. We thought maybe Evan Stewart would be able to hang with them and put on a good show for us here this evening. He's been right there in 3rd for most of this race until he ran into his issue there through that inner loop, but now battling back from about the 10th position back into 6th here. He's trying to close a big gap though between himself and the few drivers that are up in front of him. But man, oh man, oh man, a lot of these drivers is about just surviving, and we talked about Wyatt Mickelson and his playoff perspectives in this race. He was up and in that 6th spot on the speedway. Looks like Wyatt's ran into some issues here again, having some more problems, and unfortunately going backwards for that number 51 ride. Actually, I do believe, if I'm not wrong, pretty sure we saw Wyatt Mickelson down pit road. Wyatt Mickelson did make a green flag pit stop right there, so he came down pit side on lap 36. So for Mickelson, coming down pit road, that could be a really bold strategy here out of that 51 ride. If he knew he wasn't good on fuel, there's no point in trying to put yourself in a bad position or trying to save fuel and running slower on the racetrack where it still may not work out for you. So he gives up some of that track position, goes from 6th back to 11th, but gets the fuel he needed, gets some tires onto this car, and now may be running a lot faster lap times with the fresher tires than the drivers in front of him, where he may be able to track them back down, make more passes, especially if they're trying to save fuel, and that may put him into a really, really good position, especially late in this race. If we see drivers running into issues or trying to make it to the end, we could see Matthew Wood, we could see Jordan Fisher maybe miscalculate their fuel mileage and run out of fuel later in this race. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how this one plays out. As Anna says, you're doing great, Matthew, cheered on Mr. Wood here this evening. Now for Matthew, he is locked in. He has no problems here of racing his way into the playoffs. He's been pretty much locked into the playoffs for quite a while here this year, man. He's been locked and loaded right from the get-go for this number 16 ride. I do believe he's already got 7 wins on the season, 7 wins out of 17 races or something like that here on the season, but he's looking for potentially win number 8 out of 18 here to start our regular season, and I know he wants to continue to win these races, earn those stage points, and get all of the bonus points that he may be allotted here throughout the regular season to make it that much easier for him when it does come to our playoffs. If he can make it through the rounds that much easier, keep himself out of trouble, and just try to keep on running pretty solid races, he could probably be on cruise control with the bonus points he's gotten to race his way right into our final stage and right into our final run for that championship here this season. But man, right now Matthew Wood is a man on a mission out in front, as he's still got that race lead, about 3.5 seconds between him and Jordan Fisher, and you got to think Fisher was maybe a little quicker down pit road. He was able to leapfrog that 16 ride of Matthew Wood. Now, whatever that may be, it may have been half a second difference, may have been a quarter of a second difference, maybe a full second difference down pit side in his pit stall, and that little bit extra may be that extra little bit of fuel that Jordan Fisher did not get into his car. If he had a bit of a quicker pit stop down in his pit stall, that could be the difference maker. Matthew may have waited that extra half a second to make sure that that 16 ride was absolutely topped up, and that may be a reason why Fisher's kind of fallen back here a little bit, maybe realizing he needs to save that extra little bit of fuel. He needs to make sure he's got enough to get to the end, and for Matthew Wood, he's not stressed at all about it. You can see him still rolling the throttle heavily out there on the racetrack, and right now has about 4.6 seconds between himself and Jordan Fisher. Fisher still just trying to roll out there on the racetrack, try to keep himself out of trouble here and just keep this thing pointed in the right direction as we get closer and closer to our checkered flag. You see him just get to that first little bit of a red line, roll out of that throttle, just cruise it into the inner loop right here, hitting his marks, making sure he doesn't make a mistake, and see him barely get on the throttle right there. Again, just cruise, let this car drift through this corner, and as he comes back out of corner, the outer carousel here, back onto the throttle right there, shifts up into fourth gear, rolls out of it a little bit earlier here, where if we jump on board Matthew Wood, we're probably going to see Matthew maybe be a little bit more aggressive here, trying to do a little bit more savings as you watch these guys go through the gears and how quickly they're slamming on the gas pedal here and building up this speed and momentum. You see getting up into a pretty high gear right there, fourth gear, up into that red line area. You see for the number 19 ride here, I don't believe he did get into fourth gear. And yeah, it doesn't even hit the red line in fourth gear. So he's definitely backed it up. Definitely running a little bit out of pace compared to that 16 ride of Matthew Wood. And that's what's allowing Matthew to build such a big lead, to have such an advantage between himself and that 19 ride right now on the racetrack. So for Matthew Wood, it is his race to lose. 5 seconds between himself and Jordan Fisher. Does he have enough fuel to get to the end as Blair Saunders holds on to third here? Zach Later back in position number 4. Applegate has fallen quite a bit back behind these guys. Applegate unfortunately sliding a little bit backwards now, maybe burn up his tires a little bit too soon, or maybe realizing that he needs to save some gas a little too hard on the throttle too early in this run. Now really backing it up, and that's allowing Evan Stewart to slowly but surely reel in that 57 ride. So Evan may be able to jump back up inside the top 5 here by the end of this race if he can continue on this pace and catch up to that 57 ride, as he is catching him in a blazing fast hurry. As there you go, Matthew Wood down across the line. That is 2 laps left to go here this evening. Only 2 more laps of racing action here today for Matthew Wood to potentially pick up the checkered flag here this evening. Man, what a run, what a drive so far for that 16 machine. Alrighty, as Matthew down into the inner loop right here. So he heads down through the inner loop. This is kind of where he's just got to be easy on this car. You do not want to make a mistake. You do not want to open up the door here once again for that 19 ride of Fisher to be able to catch a sniff of this win, of this race lead, or anything else. You really just want to take it easy. You have a big lead. You have only a lap and a bit left to go here. There is no sense in pushing yourself into a bad position out there on the racetrack. So if you just take it nice and easy, hit your marks, keep yourself out of trouble. For Matthew Wood, he's sitting pretty as that number 19 of Jordan Fisher back there in second. Blair Saunders, they were in third. He's about 20 seconds behind Fisher, so there's really no pressure outside of the top 2 here this evening, as Matthew Wood does get that white flag. 5.5 second gap between himself and Jordan Fisher. Now this is the big question mark. Does Matthew Wood have enough fuel to get to the end of this race? Did he save enough? Did he put enough fuel in that pit stop to make it to the end of this one? Or will he run out a little bit shy? He's trying to race his way back there, trying to make sure that he doesn't have to worry about that fuel at all. If he can outrun his own fuel mileage, potentially could put him up into victory lane. So we'll have to wait and see what the 16 ride's able to do, but he's nice and easy down through the inner loop, heads down through that outer loop here, the carousel here at Watkins Glen Speedway in the wheel-to-wheel racing league. Only a couple corners left for the 16 ride, as he's got over 5 seconds between himself and that orange, black, and green machine. Down and out of corner number 5 there is Jordan Fisher in tow. They head into corner number 6. Matthew Wood, nice and easy. Looks like he's got enough fuel as he heads down into our final quarter, and for the final time today, heads down the front straightaway. He will get a little squirrely. He's just trying to cruise it, but there it is, down across the line, sees that checkered flag fly, and it's Matthew Wood who picks up the checkered flag here this evening. So Matthew Wood gets it done, picks up the win here today. Fisher comes home in second, as here comes Fisher to come in and congratulate him, as I believe that's Zach Later coming in to kill himself right there. But nonetheless, we get to see these drivers congratulate the 16. I feel like he's probably very close on fuel, so he's going to do a burnout here. Not going to roll around the racetrack for another lap, so He's going to burn it down in corner number 1, and we'll get ready to pull our top 3 finishers up here for their post-race interviews. And Matthew Wood, Jordan Fisher, Blair Saunders coming home in position number 3. Claytor there in 4th. Evan Stewart did get around Applegate to steal position number 5 here this evening, so a great run there late in the race for Evan Stewart to get back inside the top 5. Applegate back in position number 6 with Jason Bogart, Zach Perry, Wyatt Mickelson, Liam Carlson, our top 10. Benjamin Romano, Nick Jensen, Ryan Haller, Mike Coravu, Keegan Huey, our top 15. Caleb Holloman, Jaden Browder, Brandon Eddington, James Jones, Ethan Greek, Dustin Hardy, Aiden Lucas, Jaden Porter, and Mark Quinn Brewer bringing up the rear of the field. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for our race winner, Matthew Wood. As Matthew captures the dub here this evening, give it up for that number 16 machine here this evening as he gets the win. He gets the dub here this evening. We'll wait for him to jump into the waiting room here this evening as he's not in there as of yet. So we'll wait for our race leader to hop in there. As of right now, we can pull in our 3rd place finisher, Blair Saunders. So our 3rd place driver here this evening, Blair Saunders. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up here for our 3rd place finisher here this evening. Hey Blair, it's Aaron up here in the PeaceMaker broadcasting booth. You get a copy?
Yes, sir, do.
Blair, man, solid run, solid drive for you here this evening, man. It was just the name of the game. Keep yourself out of trouble. Keep your car on the racetrack, and you were able to do a very, very good job of that here this evening. Very minimal mistakes, and you slide yourself up into the 3rd here late in this run. You got Zach Claytor, Applegate back there behind you, not too far off your back bumper, but never really making too many mistakes and able to just drive yourself in cruise control up into a top 3 performance, man. Take us through this race and what's going through your mind.
Yeah, no, it was working with Fisher past couple nights, just trying to get used to the track. So shout out to him. I know he didn't get the win tonight, but and yeah, no, I made the one mistake there on the exit of turn 1 and had to get a repair, but able to carve back up, and it was a lot of fun. Just glad to be here tonight.
Absolutely. Glad to have you out there on the racetrack. And obviously, we've seen you early in the season have some good runs, have some good speed, run into issues. So it's going to feel really, really good to kind of get that monkey off your back and finally be able to complete one of these races in a solid finishing position.
Yeah, absolutely. It's surprised it happened at a road course, though.
Yeah, I feel there's a lot of drivers that are inside our top 5, top 10 right now, probably saying the exact same thing. Surprised that they are there, as there was a lot of calamities, a lot of people early in this race, out of this race. So really open up the door for a lot of other guys to get some pretty solid finishes here this evening as well. But man, for yourself, a solid 3rd place run, keeping a couple fast cats back there behind you still, and parking that 98 up here onto the podium. Blair, who would you like to thank for such a great run and great job here this evening?
Like I said, once again, Jordan Fisher, everybody at HBR, everybody at KWR, Joseph, everybody, that's just helped me, especially this week with it being a road course. And like I said, just it was awesome. Thank you. And thank you for, your casting's been amazing. I wish I could listen while I was racing, but I get too distracted. But yeah, thank you, everybody.
Absolutely, brother. Well, Blair, heck of a run, heck of a drive here this evening, brother. Congratulations on the top 3 performance. Hopefully many, many more trips for you up here into the broadcast booth.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your night. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our 3rd place finisher, Blair Saunders, as Saunders comes home in position number 3 here this evening. Heck of a run, heck of a drive there for him as we'll get ready now to pull in our race winner. He's into the Discord now. Let's get our race winner, Matthew Wood, up here into the broadcast booth. Hey, Matthew, it's Aaron up here in the PeaceMaker broadcasting booth. To get a copy?
What's up, buddy?
Not much, Matthew, man. What a run, what a race, as you're able to figure out a way to beat that 19 rider, Jordan Fisher, here this evening. And obviously, early on, we saw him start in the pole position, laid a fast lap down there on qualifying. He was able to lead the first 13, 14 laps of this race, but you were putting the pressure on him, not letting him run away with it. And it just seemed like as the day went on, your car got a little bit better. His car started to get a little bit worse, and here you were making the move, stealing that second stage away from him. And then it kind of same story again there in that final run, but you made the move a whole lot earlier, jumping around Jordan Fisher shortly after that restart and putting yourself out in front. And then you just kind of held them back there at bay, and it seemed like late in the race, either his car was completely falling off or he was trying to save some fuel, and you were good to go and able to just continue to keep your foot in the throttle and drive home to another massive win here this evening.
Yeah, definitely. I was struggling with the throttle pedal. I mentioned that before the race, and he was really gaining on me in the last two corners because what was happening if I got on throttle even at all, especially half throttle. I don't know what's wrong, maybe a sensor or something, but it would be modulating itself and rapidly going from like 20, 10, 20%, just bouncing up from that to 60 and going up and down and up and down, sometimes even worse than that. So I'm just trying to find the whole race a position to put my foot in to maybe get it to work. And it sort of did, not really in the final two corners, but I also learned it was either, all or nothing. And up through the S's, that's possible. You let off, you kind of mash the throttle, let off at the top, mash the throttle again. Bus stop, I mean, you're kind of just slowing down. It doesn't really matter off exit. Helped me turn into the carousel, but the final two corners, it was impossible. And I don't know how I had the pace to do it, but definitely had a really fun battle with Jordan. He defended absolutely brilliantly, and respect to all the lap cars who were spinning, not coming back on track. It's pretty class there. So yeah, just thank the admin team. I mean, they do a lot of work here, and I think, and of course, there's no caution, so people got to put in tickets. We got to look at them. But either way, thank you for all you do. You do a great job. Thank you to all my supporters out there, Landon's family, Steve, Diane, everybody that's out there, whoever else is in chat, Audrey, anybody else that's out there. So just good race.
Absolutely great race, great run, and another checkered flag here for you. Already locked into the playoffs and been locked into the playoffs for quite a while, as I do believe that is what now your 8th win, 9th win on the season, something crazy like that, man. You've been on fire all season long here in the Wheel-to-Wheel Racing League, and it's going to be a heck of a show to watch you, Jordan, and some of these other drivers duke it out here for the championship after next week's regular season finale.
Yeah, I definitely think this is also going to crown a more fair champion, even if it's not me. We have the old chase format, 10 races, whoever has the most points wins. I hate the NASCAR format. I've said it for years. And that's why I've never won a league championship, but I've won every single league regular season championship I've been in. So hopefully this is it. But we'll go on to next week and start the playoffs the week after.
Beauty. We love to see it. We love to see that as well. Obviously, the old Winston Cup format, and that's great to see, man. I actually love that, and I always love seeing, even nowadays, there's still guys that, hate the new chase format and everything else that NASCAR does, and for the longest time, they've kept track of, what the Winston Cup points would be, or even if you just went back to the old chase format like what we're running here, right, where it's 26 races, top 10, top 12, whatever it may be. I believe it was top 10 for NASCAR. Went to the final 10 races and duked it out. Best driver, most consistent driver out of those 10 races won the championship, and we like to see, man. We like to see that, and we like to see, these series kind of playing out like that. So it's a lot of fun, and obviously so far on the year, you've been probably the most consistent driver out of everybody, even after missing a few races. Having so many good wins, good finishes, and everything else, still being at the top of that chart of our points leaders here this season here through 18 races now.
Definitely. So I think it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens here.
Absolutely, brother. Well, we look forward to seeing how it all plays out after next week's race, but one more regular season event to be held, and then our playoffs get underway. Matthew, we can't wait to see you back out there on the racetrack next Sunday evening, and obviously maybe next Saturday night as well, and back into Victory Lane one of those nights.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for Matthew Wood as our race winner here this evening from Watkins Glen Speedway here in the beautiful New York State, as we'll get ready now to pull in our second place finisher, Jordan Fisher. Fisher coming home in position number 2. Let's get the fish up here into the booth. Hey Jordan, it's Aaron up here in the PeaceMaker broadcasting booth. Take a copy.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Jordan, man, solid run, solid drive here all evening long. We knew it was going to probably be down between you and Jordan Fish, or between you and Matthew Wood here this evening. I almost forgot who I was talking to there for a second, but between you and Matthew here this evening, man, as you guys were, the class of the field here for a lot of our road courses beforehand, it looked like you guys were going to be, duking it out again here this evening, and that's exactly what we saw. Take us kind of through the race and what was going through your mind after winning the first stage, leading some of those laps up until about lap 13 14 when Matthew finally got around you. I thought maybe it was just fuel that you were trying to save, or maybe the car was just starting to fall off. We thought maybe down pit road you'd fix that issue, and then we obviously saw you beat him off pit road, having that race lead again to start that final stage. Able to jump out in front, hold them off there for a few laps before we finally got back around you. We thought maybe you were just sizing them up, waiting for later in the game to be the car that's more on attack than on defense. And it just seemed like late in this one, realized maybe you needed to save a little bit of fuel, or the car was just falling off again, and allowing Matthew to run away with this one. Take us back through the race and what's kind of going through your mind right now as the smoke settles here in Watkins Glen.
Overall, I mean, it was a really good result. I'm happy with it. The car was handling very well in that first stage. Again, the stage win was awesome through there, but I knew Matthew was starting to gain some pace through the mid half of that second stage. So once he had got around me, it was just more about kind of learning from him, and felt pretty good going. After coming out of the pits in the lead and starting the race from there, but. It's kind of a matter of, it wasn't the most favorable situation where I knew I had to save fuel, and we all did. But it's just one of those situations where I wish we could have been able to force a pit stop in that second half and maybe get the an extra 5 or 10 laps in, just to add a little strategy aspect to it. But so once he got around me, in that back half of the race, and I was hanging with him, and I felt like I definitely could have defended a little bit harder and be a little bit more aggressive. But at that point, it was just fuel, a fuel race, as I literally ran out of fuel as I crossed the start finish line. I know a couple ran out around the last corner there, so there was no. It was more just keeping the eyes peeled on the fuel and not really worrying about the pace in the second half. So regardless, it was a good finish.
Absolutely. Do you feel that potentially being a little quicker in your pit stop may have been the difference maker on that fuel? As obviously Matthew wasn't as concerned with that fuel. He was rolling a lot harder out there on the racetrack, obviously building a big lead there on the closing laps between you and himself. So do you think maybe just being that half a second more down pit road for Matthew gave him that extra little bit of fuel, that he was a little bit more confident out there on the racetrack late in this race?
I think ultimately he was able to just kind of save a little bit more fuel on a lap to lap basis, a little bit better than me, whereas I would, being the aggression, the lead, whatever, trying to hold the high RPM, shifting late and so on, burns obviously more fuel. So him being behind, just, pacing himself to save the fuel early on in that stint to be able to push later on and not have to worry about that is probably, that definitely, gives the person the advantage in that aspect. So, you just have to learn from this one in terms of trying to save fuel a little bit earlier in this, situation, and then being able to push later on to give Matthew a run sometime later in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's going to be a lot of fun to see you guys back in action on another road course and see what you may have learned from this race to put into effect in the next road course here in the Wheel to Wheel Racing League series. But here tonight, man, another solid run, another solid finish, a top 2 performance for you, locked into the playoffs now, knowing that you're going to be a part of the playoffs here this year. You're going to be pretty excited for that one.
Absolutely, yeah. I have my eyes set on the Charlotte Roval playoff race. I just had raced there a couple of days ago and felt really, really good about my pace. Learned a lot from there. So we're going to try to carry this momentum in the playoffs. We got a lot of, I know next week we got Daytona, so I think ultimately just stay live, make it to the end of the race, even if we're not in the top 3 or so. I think that'll be a good result next week, as that's kind of a luck shot. We actually moved up to P3 in the points before the playoffs begin. So we're in a really good position to obviously give Matthew a run for his money. Obviously, he's always going to be respected as probably one of the heavy favorite in this league. But regardless, we got to bring our A game and give him everything we can, and it's just a fun battle racing with him weekly.
Absolutely. Looks like a ton of fun out there on the racetrack. And here tonight, he does get the better of you as he comes home with the top spot, but you're able to park it up in position number 2. Jordan, who would you like to thank here this evening for another great run and great performance out there on the racetrack?
I'd like to thank Hardy Designs as always as we continue to get this Hot Rod 19 HBR machine in the top 3 pretty much weekly. It's been awesome how well we've been running, and really excited to get the Hardy Designs machine ready for the playoffs. Obviously, I want to thank Grumpy Graphics, Grumpy Motorsports for allowing me to race for them in many leagues. I want to thank my friends and family, everybody that's watching, that's continuing to support me, as well as AG Motorsports. Great guys over there, and thank you, Aaron, for broadcasting as always. I'll see you guys next week.
Absolutely, brother. We look forward to seeing you back out there on the racetrack. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and hopefully we'll see you right back up here. Maybe get a dub at Daytona here next Sunday.
Fear the fish.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, get up there for Jordan Fisher as Fisher comes home in position number 2 here this evening. Heck of a run, heck of a drive here by each and every one of these performers. Man, these guys put on a absolutely amazing show for us, right from the drop of the green flag down to the checkered flag out there on the speedway. And we can't thank each and every one of you guys for tuning in. All the fans of the stands who came in with the likes, the comments, the shares. Man, we appreciate each and every single one of you. Any of the new followers, any of the new subscribers over on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. We appreciate each and every single one of you guys and welcome you to the PeaceMaker family. And if it's not too late, if you haven't already, make sure you guys do us a favor right there. Hit that like button. Hit that thumbs up button on the stream for us right now. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Turn those bell notifications on. That way you never miss it when we go green flag racing here on PeaceMaker Gaming. And we will see you guys back here for some more racing action tomorrow night. We'll be back in action tomorrow evening, and we can't wait to have you guys back up in the grandstands cheering on our drivers of the Metalheads Truck Series tomorrow evening for some absolutely amazing racing action. And man, it's going to be a lot of fun to see what they got up their sleeve here for late in their season. But we can't thank y'all enough for tuning in. Can't thank y'all enough for showing the love here this evening. Huge shout out to my boy, Mr. Rodney Stewart. Rodney coming in, showing the big love as well. Coming in, dropping the $2 super chat over there on YouTube as well. The $2 super chat, man. Can't thank him enough for showing the love with that one. And we can't thank you guys enough for all of you coming in, showing the love, and just enjoying some great racing action here this evening. But anyways, we'll catch y'all back here tomorrow. Peace and love, and enjoy the rest of your evenings, ladies and gentlemen. Peace out for now, chat. Peace out for now. Woo!
Yeah. Burning rubber, tires screaming, engines go berserk. Pit stop precision like surgeons at work. Wheel to wheel, hands on the grip, no chill. Broadcast live, PeaceMaker keeping it real. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. 360 on the asphalt, danger a flirt. Every lap closer, the tires eating dirt. PeaceMaker's lens, the hype ignites. Streaming the chaos under neon lights. Draft game strong, slingshot out the lane. Calculated risk deep in the veins. Checkered flags, wave dreams on the brink. Fast decisions where you barely get to blink. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, box flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. On the asphalt, danger a flirt. Every lap closer, the tires eating dirt. PeaceMaker's lens, the hype ignites. Streaming the chaos under neon lights. Draft game strong, slingshot out the lane. Calculated risk deep in the veins. Checker flags, wave dreams on the brink. Fast decisions where you barely get to blink. Yeah, yeah. From amateurs to legends, it's all the same heat. One wrong move might sweep defeat. High octane stakes climb mile by mile. Peacemakers mic hot, adding flames to the style. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. Greasy, the grind stay greasy. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Burning rubber, tires screaming, engines go berserk. Pit stop precision like surgeons at work. Wheel to wheel, hands on the grip, no chill. Broadcast live, Peacemaker keeping it real. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. 360 on the asphalt, danger a flirt. Every lap closer, the tires eating dirt. Peacemaker's lens, the hype ignites. Streaming the chaos under neon lights. Draft game strong, slingshot out the lane. Calculated risk deep in the veins. Checker flags wave dreams on the brink. Fast decisions where you barely get to blink. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. On the asphalt, danger a flirt. Every lap closer, the tires eating dirt. Peacemaker's lens, the hype ignites. Streaming the chaos under neon lights. Draft game strong, slingshot out the lane. Calculated risk deep in the veins. Checker flags wave dreams on the brink. Fast decisions where you barely get to blink. Yeah, yeah. From amateurs to legends, it's all the same heat. One wrong move might sweep defeat. High octane stakes climb mile by mile. Peacemakers mic hot, adding flames to the style. Speed demons on the track, hearts racing with the sound. Slide tight in the curves, sparks flying off the ground. Victory's a beast, it don't come easy. Wheel to wheel racing, the grind stay greasy. Greasy, the grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy. The grind stay greasy.